I think we are live.
The broadcast says live now. Okay.
Yes. All right. This is my first round, everybody. Hey, everybody in Elite Agency Inner Circle. This is my first round with StreamYard, and yes, it's working right there on the phone, buddy.
There we go.
We got Brennan here with us. Brennan is amazing. I'll introduce him in a second, but this is by popular demand. We are using StreamYard instead of Zoom because we're supposed to be going live 17 minutes ago, and Zoom completely just tanked on Facebook connection. And I hate thinking of new things to do just to learn some new shiny object and play with toys until it's necessary, and it became necessary.
That was the pivot this morning.
All right. Let's do this then. So Brennan is here today, and Brennan has been in my life for a while now. Let me explain why he's here. Two amazing reasons. One, because he keeps going to this concept with me. I'm like, dude, we got to talk about this live. Of either you're freaking good at sales or you're really good at delivery and product fulfillment, like whatever your service and work is. So some people are really good at doing the thing. Some people are good at selling the thing. The thing is, if you want to really grow and scale your agency, you can't do both and do them both at a high enough level or with even 24 hours in a day to be able to survive growing. So I want Brendan to talk about that. Before that, let me just shout a little introduction here to make sure that that we get to know who Brennan is. So Brennan is in his own right an amazing agency owner. He's had multiple agencies. He's done multiple done for you services, products, software engineering. He's got agencies that do things that I'm like, oh my gosh, that blows my mind. And he does more things than I can think about doing at once. He lives in Vegas, but is quarantined out taking care of family. So as we all are, Brennan, dude, thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, this is super fun. Hey, Tom and Sergey, great to be here. Just make sure we're good on audio, video. Give me a thumbs up or something because we're using StreamYard.
We have no idea at this point, guys. We have no idea.
We're flying blind. I'm liking the StreamYard thing though so far, Brennan. I can do all kind of cool stuff. Like I can make our. You see that change?
Yeah, that's cool. Zoom out. That's pretty cool.
That is fun. So anyway, yep, we're good. They say okay.
Okay, perfect.
So, Brennan, first of all, like, give us an idea of how quarantine's going for you. Are you going crazy?
Well, again, I kind of talked before we got on cameras. Chris has probably the best haircut during quarantine. That's my real big struggle right now. So, hence the hat. But no, other than that, not being able to get to a barbershop, it's been pretty good. Not a lot has changed from us or from our standpoint. So we're doing pretty well.
You're surviving. Good.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. All right, so I do want to talk about your agency models. So Robbie, hey, welcome. Glad you're here. So Brennan, tell us about your agency models, what you get your hands in right now, kind of how that progressed, so we can get a little background.
Yeah, so I'll kind of jump in the state of where we're at right now, and then kind of lead into how we got to that point. We have a software company called Review Kangaroo that focuses on online review management for home-based services or home service-based companies. And we're dabbling into a couple other softwares that are right now in beta that focus on conversion optimization for websites. And we'll have a couple different verticals that we roll that out to. And the reason we got into software from the agency model, the done for you type of services, is because we were essentially fulfilling a need that kept coming up in conversations with our clients. And so when we talk about this whole idea of like sales and fulfillment, it was one of those two things where my traditional background has come from the sales aspect of it. Out of college, I had the opportunity to work for a lot of big time sales organizations, from AT&T's digital interactive aspect to high-end magazine sales with Vegas Magazine and Ocean Drive. And when I started the agency, I realized that was kind of my sweet spot, my lane. And one of the things that you'll find out as an agency owner when you start is you're either good at fulfillment and delivering the product, or you're good at sales. And a lot of people that are good at fulfillment really hate sales. And the guys that are really good at sales are terrible at fulfillment. So one of the ways that I was able to kind of handle that objection was bringing in, and this is probably the best hire that I ever did, is you're either your integrator or a project manager on the front end side, depending on what element that you're at, right? And so for me, I was a sales guy, needed somebody to handle the day-to-day with the customers, make sure everything was getting done on the back end. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna go through that little vicious cycle of I'm selling a lot of stuff, but you're losing it on the back end. So that was one of the things that was really stood out for me, was being able to jump in there and have somebody to handle the fulfillment side of that. And, kind of led into the product service. So once we got that figured out, what we did is we looked into, okay, how do we now bring automation into that and start building solutions around the fulfillment aspect, and then go back and how do we do that and tighten up our sales process. So once you look at those two components, if you can break down and say, okay, now let's dive deeper and build in some kind of automation in between it, then you'll start to scale a lot faster. And so that's where essentially the software led into, is it's just a program that solved a problem for our clients that we had. And so now we're able to take that model, say, oh, by the way, we have this other tool that you can use that help to drive the solution that we're trying to provide to you on the service aspect.
Love that. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, man, I've gone through that so many times in previous agencies where I would sell, and then have to fulfill. Oh, what's up, Franklin and Robert? Great to see y'all too. And Franklin, what's up, Chris? Hey, nice to meet you, Brennan. Franklin says, hey.
Yeah.
So with that selling, and then you fulfill, and then like you just kind of hinted to, then you get in this lull where you've been fulfilling for 2 months, and all of a sudden you don't have any new clients coming in, but you're done fulfilling, you get your paycheck, and then you're back to selling.
Yep.
But the big struggle for me, and I hear this tons in this group, is trusting someone to fulfill on your behalf, because as we all believe, no one can do it as good as I can. But how did you get over that fear? Like, how did you find somebody you could trust?
A lot of it's surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. And so you're going to have to do your due diligence. For us in the beginning, it was a lot of, hit and miss. When it came from a software, component, I've gone through probably 8 different software teams over the last 10 years of owning an agency. The team we've had for probably the last 5 or 6 years now. It's great. 20-man team overseas, communicate with them pretty much overnight, or every night, I should say. And my project managers speak with them on a regular basis. So it's just, a lot of it was trial and error, but a lot of it as well is kind of surrounding yourself with the right people. Like, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but I initially met Chris in a mastermind. And so when you're able to like work together and collaborate with people that are at a high level or doing as well as you want to do, or even better, or where you're at right now, you tend to share different ideas and so forth like that. And a lot of time they can be a great resource for being able to, go look for talent and where to find it, because they've gone through some of the same, issues or trials that you're going to hit and probably have already solved them.
That's so true. Yeah. So true. If anybody has never done a group where you can lean in on other peers that are at your level or above, it is so critical. I lean in on, even though Brent and I aren't in the same mastermind, we were both in a high ticket mastermind we were paying to be part of. And even though we're not in that same mastermind together anymore, we still kept those relationships, and you keep those relationships. And I mean, I don't know, Brent, are we on the phone like every week, every other week at least?
Yeah.
Just sharing ideas. That adds so much value. So on that note, then, questions, anybody got questions, feel free to drop in there as always. Sorry, we're a bit late today. We're trying to get StreamYard up and running. The big question that comes up with selling versus the execution side of it, or product delivery side of it, is which one's the most valuable one for the entrepreneur? Which one should you focus your time on, or is one more valuable than ever?
I look at it, and one is, what are you good at? And 2, what do you enjoy? Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to want to stay in there and do it. And so, for me, again, it was the process of being able to jump into sales and create automation. I like the aspect of, I come from I played college football, so I come from a sports background. So I like the competitiveness of being in the trenches with my sales guys. On the other end, I like the aspect of, I was a computer science major, so I like the development side. So I like talking to our development team in a lot of components. But guess what? I know I'm not the right person to do that on a regular basis. So we have somebody that manages that whole team, and I communicate my ideas as a visionary to sit there and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. How do we make this happen?
Yeah.
Right? And somebody else that's way more experienced, way more valuable, and has a lot more skill in that aspect, goes and runs with that idea and comes back and hands us, the finished product. So that's ultimately how I look at things, and what I would probably recommend.
Great. So, okay, cool. So many people think that we have to be the salesperson to make all the money.
I tell you what, even if you're good at sales, and or even if you don't like to sales, you have to think of it from the component of every channel out there is a salesperson for you. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, those are all sales channels that you can leverage where you really can throw some money at that and, have it automate and do its own thing and, just sit there and have a process that actually takes people through the sales cycle. And then you deal the fulfillment on there. So a lot of that is going and looking at your sales pipeline and saying, do I really have one set up? Is it automated? Do I have this? Do I have my services even productized to where the clients get the same result over and over again? Or am I reinventing myself every time I get a new client? Because that's an issue in itself, even in the sales process.
Yeah, great, very true. Question just popped up here. So Franklin says, checking out the stream, definitely interesting because I'm really good at fulfillment and coaching, but my sales skills are horrible. Man, no worries there. So Brendan, if somebody feels like that, and that's really common where they're really, I hate fulfillment. I'm horrible at it. So Franklin, I'm your opposite. We should do something together because I'm the opposite of that. How do you get somebody who's awesome at fulfillment into finding somebody to partner with in sales, or do they just start automating? How do they get that track going?
Yeah, I would start with looking at, okay, have I productized my fulfillment on the front end, right? Now, can I give that to somebody where there'd be another agency? And again, there's agencies on here, obviously, that are really good at sales or really good at marketing. Can I give that and say, okay, here's what we're trying to fulfill. Here's our product. What is the best approach in terms of selling it? And let them run with it, see how it does, right? And then look at it from the standpoint of when that works, what's the automation that you can put behind that? And so literally you could probably hire an agency, I'll just use Facebook ads. Most agencies for Facebook ads are, $2,000 to $3,000 a month, where they can just, pump out new leads that go through your sales process. And as long as you have some automation in there that leads to the fulfillment, then boom. Another thing is your high ticket. If you're doing something that's considered high ticket, you may want to just hire, an individual that's just a high ticket closer, and you can get those on a commission only basis. A lot of those guys are floating around the internet, especially if you're generating the leads on the front end. So, you just know your numbers, be able to look at and say, where are my clients at? What channels are there? Another great one is strategic partnerships. Find out who has your client. See if you can't do some kind of strategic partnership, because a lot of times you can go into, I just had a conversation with somebody on the podcast about this, but you can go into another market or somebody that has your client and say, hey, why don't we collaborate something together where I come in on your Facebook group, or, I come in on your podcast and I'll offer my services, and then I'll give you, a little back end, affiliate fee on anything that comes in. Solves your sales process, right? So, so those are just some easy things that you can look at in terms of, solving that problem if you're not a salesperson.
Brilliant idea. Okay, so for somebody who's good at fulfillment, is there a place they should start? If they want to automate the sales process, should they get a real person selling first, or should they go straight to automation?
I would map it all out. So I come back to being from the mindset of, programming. Look at it. What is it? If you don't understand what your sales process is, you probably want to start thinking about it from what's the customer journey? What kind of experience do I want my clients to have right up until the point that they get to the onboarding call, right? Because all of that is, customer experience. Like, okay, where are they at? How do I communicate with them? What are the things that keep them up at night? A lot of things that we practice is when we get a new client, we'll go in and look at reviews, either on Amazon, Yelp. We'll jump into forums, Facebook groups, and kind of see what the common questions or the common concerns are over and over again, and then build some kind of a lead magnet based off of solving that problem. So that's your attractive, that's your attraction right there. That's your bait that you can do. And then, depending on where you're at in terms of, marketing automation or email automation, is like, where do they come into a campaign? How are you communicating? Are you sending them through various video content, emails, blog posts, and so forth like that? Do you have case studies that you're sharing? Again, the quickest solution I always tell everybody is find somebody who has your ideal client and go see if you can strike a partnership with them, because they've already got your audience's attention just on a different platform.
Yes. Cool. Love that. So definitely got your point there. In the middle of systemizing my real estate system before I move on to the rest. So you're
investor or agent?
Yeah. And are you marketing to investors? Are you marketing to agents? Give a little more background on that one if you want to. That's a good question or a good point. Um, Brenda, great to see you. So glad you're here. Brenda, Brennan and I were actually talking about you before we jumped on the stream. So sorry we're late. Hope you and Dennis can jump on. But we were just mentioning that you ask great questions and we love hearing from you. So yeah, on the real estate thing, that's a good one. So selling, who you selling to? If you want to clarify that question, that'd be great. So then Brennan, just a question for my own learning here. This guy says marketing to agents. So Franklin says he's marketing to agents.
Okay, marketing agents.
Yeah. For agents. Haha. Yeah, for agents. So he's marketing on behalf of agents. Fantastic. Okay. And then selling that service to agents.
Yeah. So great. You want me to tackle that one?
Yeah, tackle it, man. Yeah.
So yeah, I have a real estate investment company as well. So we rehab.
How in the world, dude? Oh my gosh, do you sleep?
Yeah, I do sleep. Systems, processes, automation, right? So yeah, going back to agents, one of the things that I find with agents that are the biggest issues is they are not very good at marketing, and they do not think of the customer experience whatsoever. A lot of the things that have been put in agents' toolbox right now is based on automation for the consumer, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, how often are they following up outside of their lead for the MLS? So do they have any personal email drip campaigns that are going out? Are they do they have any personalized videos? You know, what is the experience like after the sale is made? You know, I've sold literally dozens of homes, and I can tell you I've had a handful of agents that, you know, come back and they send a gift basket, you know, or something, just anything, right? They typically get their commission, they run off. So looking at what the experience is like and how are you automating that experience for your consumer on the front end as well as the back end is going to have a huge increase in terms of the returns for you. And it's going to separate, you know, those real estate agents from the rest of the people that are out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, tell me about it. I've learned the hard way for sure, Franklin. The organic process, just to add to that, Franklin, the organic process that you're replicating with automation or with a staff member copy pasting stuff to your market is so important. That's why Brennan keeps mentioning that. So that really mapping that system out that works from human to human is what matters. Because if you build a system that doesn't build on humanity's own way of connecting, then it'll fall short of reaching a human, right? So knowing the sales cycle, knowing why it works, and knowing how it works from human to human is so important when you start to automate. And that's where, even if you're not a great salesperson, having someone else you can partner with for a while and figure that sales process out. I've done that so many times. I'm horrible at selling my own stuff.
Yeah, a lot of us are.
Yeah, so I've had to hire people to help me sell my own stuff, you know, like, and teach me the format for what the funnel should be or the webinar or whatever it may be. So anyway, great question.
Yeah, and the big thing is, guys, I'll just tell you is just think of the experience that you would want to go through as a consumer from that standpoint, and try to say what would make somebody impress me, what would be something that would over deliver, and then add that to your sales process. You'll stand out so much better than everybody else in your vertical and your niche that you know, you'll end up getting a lot more business from it.
Yeah. Another question about getting into the prospect's mind. How do you get out of the position of knowledge so you don't assume they know what you know? Well, that's a good question.
Well, repeat the question.
About getting into a prospect's mind, how do you get out of the position of knowledge so you don't assume they know what you know? Because we all know way more than our prospects, and we just think that you know it. You know?
Yeah. You know, again, you can share just value. Just give a ton of value. And the reality is, if somebody comes into your environment and they think they know more than you, they're not going to be a buyer anyway. They're going to go off to somebody else and be like, you know, hey, I know everything that this person's talking about. So just keep delivering value. Don't be too concerned about, you know, how much you know versus how much they know. Just, you know, offer value.
Yeah. And ask a ton of questions, right?
Yep.
I mean, if you wonder what they know, ask them questions, and you'll be surprised. Anybody who's selling to any market, you'll be surprised at how little the market you're selling to knows. And you might think that your presentation or your product is so basic, but it's because it's your natural skill set.
Correct.
Or it's your history that took you 10 years to figure out. So
100%.
Yeah, they're starting from square one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And don't be concerned that somebody else is a guru in the space and, you know, they're going to follow them, because A lot of times people are buying, based on their relationship they have with you or with how they like you.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. Good questions. Anybody else? Feel free to pop a question in there. We'll make sure we capture all of Brennan's expertise we can. Brennan, thanks again for being on here.
Love it.
Brennan has been kind enough to coach me on different things over the time we've known each other, and I think
vice versa.
Yeah, well, you're nice. I'm talking Brennan into helping us and doing a little more coaching even in this group, which would be super cool, Brennan. If you have time, would love for you to spend time with some of the folks in our group because people have really good questions that you could help with.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. One more question that's coming up. Let me just get this one worked through in my mind here. So, okay, if you're okay, building a team for execution, how do you get the team members on board? Who do you hire first?
That's a great question. For me, there's two roles that I think are very, very important, and I'll kind of tell you a backstory on it. One is either your integrator or your project manager, and you could separate those two positions, or you can have them kind of as one, depending on what role you want that person to take. So that's one. The other one is your bookkeeper. And so a quick story on why I think a bookkeeper is a great one is because when I first started the agency, I was doing a lot of all this, entering our sales and everything else into our books for ourselves through QuickBooks and everything, setting up on a reoccurring payment. And it took me about 6 months, but I finally realized one of our clients that was a roofing company that we were charging about $5,000 a month, missed all their billing. So I had to come to that determination. Do I back charge them the $30,000 that they owe us, or do I just add their credit card? And we were already doing the work, and it was just like, I was like, why are our KPIs off? I couldn't figure it out. And then finally one day I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be doing this full time. I'm not focused, again, sales guy, right? Fulfillment. Work, yeah. So
true.
Yeah. So yeah, that little mistake cost me, $30,000 right off the top. But yeah, I would say one of those two positions because and if you're not good at sales, then it would be the other way around. I'd probably hire somebody in the marketing or sales space if you're good at fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Fantastic. Man, we try to keep this in the 30-minute range. We're coming up on that because people don't need to hang out on Facebook all day, guys. The only reason you should come to Facebook is to watch my daily live streams. Otherwise, what else is there on Facebook that could interest you? So, man, Brennan, thank you again. Any other questions? We'll hang out for just another minute or two. But Brennan, thanks again so much for taking the time.
Very welcome, man. And
spending it here. And I hope you stay safe and well. Any idea when you think you'll be heading back, like not taking care of family, but heading back towards Vegas to home?
It's a ghost town right now in Vegas. So I don't know. It's going to be probably sometime middle of next month, maybe in the next month.
Did you leave Vegas before it emptied out? Like, did you see it empty?
Yeah, I was 2 weeks ahead of time. And then I was actually, I actually was watching world news and actually realized that we had a problem the same night that the NBA decided. I was at the grocery store loading up with stuff when the NBA shut down. So I was like right on point with it. So yeah,
you were the dude who got all the toilet paper.
Yeah, basically.
So don't you wish you could walk down the strip right now though, just to see it? It's like it's got to be apocalyptic, like a movie scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say just like some of the movie scenes. Exactly right. Yeah, I've seen videos. Yeah, it's not good.
It's too bad movie studios can't rent those spaces out. Right, like this is the ultimate time.
Right?
Roll some Avengers film in Vegas. Oh man. Okay. We're going to jump out of here. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. So sorry we came in late. I'll probably see if I can talk Brennan into dragging him back in a week or so we can try to get this thing on time so we can actually get people's questions answered a little sooner in the day because I know it's a struggle when we schedule these things and they don't work. But, hey, no more Zoom and Facebook. We are StreamYard, and thank you to all you people, particularly CN, when you watch this later. You've been screaming StreamYard at me for a while, so here we are. We did it. Okay.
Awesome.
Brennan, thanks again, man.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Take care.